Stop what you're doing. Listen to this part. Welcome back to Y'all Hate Sports, Part 11. Referees. With the NBA and NHL playoffs currently going on, it's clear that a few of y'all need a referee to help you get through one of the biggest times of the year in sports. As you can see, I will be your referee for this part of Y'all Hate Sports. There we go. You can't ever tell me that I don't commit to the bit, Brio. Let's talk about them, because being a referee is one of the hardest jobs to have in America. And no, I'm not even joking. Like, referees, they have it bad, man. You're the bad guy either way. Even if you do a good job at it, all it takes is one bad call, and you will have an entire fan base on you. You can have an entire city or state or even country against you. All right. Referees have it bad. But I suppose with referees, we can start by talking about how referees became referees. All right, there you go, back in the spot that you all know and love. Referees date back to as far as the 15th century, when a 16th century educator named Richard Mulcaster wrote about how football, as they called it at the time, was in need of a, quote, judge over the parties. Referees would be trickled into every sport from then on, having them appear for the bigger sport events. For example, William McLean was the first umpire in baseball in 1876. Basketball referees dating back to as far as 1946. It wasn't really until the 19th century, however, that a referee society was formed in London so that everyone of all ages can learn properly about the most popular sport in the world, soccer, or football for my international listeners. Since then, referees are one of the biggest components of any professional game. But what really makes them important is their objectiveness and swift decision making. Humans make mistakes, and nobody should ever expect a referee to be perfect. But there have been countless scandals of referees who have made a call to benefit a particular team intentionally. Just to name a few. Meet former NBA referee Tim Donaghy. He was sentenced to 2 federal charges related to betting on NBA games he officiated and served 15 months in prison for it. And this happened for years before he was caught, from 2003 to 2007 to be exact. Obviously, the integrity of the NBA took a massive hit because of this, and the rules that the referees already had to abide to were revised. Absolutely no sports betting allowed, and the announcement of who the referees would be for a particular game was moved from 90 minutes before tip-off to the morning of the game, so that the value of info for gamblers would be reduced. A more recent case of blatant bias from NBA refs is Eric Lewis, who also conveniently retired last season after it was leaked that him and his family were massive Boston Celtic fans. For context, Lewis was picked to officiate the last 4 NBA finals, one of which had the Boston Celtics in it, posing a 54-29 record when Lewis called their games. It was pretty clear that there was something very fishy going on. And shout out to Sixers GM Daryl Morey, who has done a lot of wrong, but gave NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski this tip before Game 7 of Eastern Conference semifinals last year between the Celtics and the Sixers, which conveniently was in Boston and had Eric Lewis officiating. One more story. Bottle Game, the infamous game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cleveland Browns back in 2001. If you have time, I highly recommend you look up the details of this game. I'll see if I can provide a good reference video under this one. But yeah, it's juicy. It's juicy, I can't lie. But to try my best to summarize, in a game where both teams needed to win in order to get a playoff spot, this particular NFL officiating crew, led by Terry McAulay, decided it was a good idea to review a play that happened 2 snaps after the fact. In the official rulebook for the NFL, if a certain play happens under 2 minutes of a game that constitutes an official booth review by the referees, the refs can review to clarify and make the right call. This is nullified, however, if the team with possession of the ball runs another play before the one they're trying to review, which is what happens in this game. The referees on this day straight up abandoned their own rules, and yeah, you can probably imagine just how pissed off the fans were. Throwing glass bottles onto the field at the teams, coaches, and especially those referees. It got so bad, in fact, that they initially ended the game, which had 48 seconds left in it, just to ensure the safety of everyone on the field. Those are just 3 instances of why refereeing is such a hard job to not only keep, but actually be good at. Fans complain about the officiating all the time, but now more than ever, especially in these big leagues, there are so many rules to remember and follow. Referees all across the board go through rigorous training just to even officiate their first game. And some just end up being straight up bad at it. Like, so bad at it that there have been petitions to try and get them fired from their own job. There are some that are so bad at it that they blatantly miss calls that are right in front of their face almost every single time they get called to call an official big game. There are a few exceptions, and some refs have their moments in time where they are actually well liked by the masses, but I can guarantee you there's no referee across all sports that is genuinely loved by the majority. And it hasn't happened yet, but I promise you it will. There's going to be a massive missed call by the referees in these playoffs that is going to change the momentum of a big game and possibly change the momentum of an entire series. In conclusion, refereeing ain't easy. It certainly has its perks, but you are public enemy number 1 every single game. So don't mess up. Easier said than done, I guess. Overall, what are your thoughts on referees? Do humans have it in them to continue to have human refs? Or are you more inclined to take the approach the MLB might be taking and have robot umpires in the near future? I mean, AI is pretty smart already, but AI can only get you but so far. My name is Bailey Cameron, and oh yeah. Personal foul on the offense. Intentional shameless self-promo. 15-yard penalty. I'll see you on the next part.